The weekend sun dipped low in the sky, casting extended shadows across the forest, as Curtis, Destiny, and KT drove deeper into the woods. They had come for a simple escape, three friends ready for a weekend of hiking and ghost stories. But there had been one tale that loomed larger than the others, whispered among locals, the legend of the devil's tramping ground. Huh, it's just a myth, KT said with a dismissive wave, his head catching the last remnants of sunlight. But the tightness around his eyes belied his bravado. He had read about the sinister place online, where nothing and absolutely nothing grew but a barren circle of earth that locals believed the devil walked every single night. Any object left within the circle would disappear by morning, and those who dared to camp nearby often reported hearing strange sounds, shadows darting at the edge of their vision, and a fear that gripped their heart like icy fingers. Curtis and Destiny exchanged glances. Let's go, Curtis said, excitement and dread mingling in his voice. The trio arrived at the clearing just as twilight draped itself over the land. Curtis stepped into the circle, feeling the soft earth give beneath his boots. See? Just dirt. Nothing to be scared of. Destiny pulled a flashlight from her bag, pointing it towards the trees surrounding the clearing. The stories say you can hear whispers at night, she said, her voice barely above a whisper itself, as if the words might summon something. As darkness engulfed them, they pored over tales of the devil's tramping ground, the grim history laden with disappearances and the occasional scare tactic used by parents to keep their children close at night. Laughter filled the air. An attempt to keep the mood light, but the forest stayed eerily quiet, a stifling silence humid enough to suck the breath from their lungs. I think we should go hiking tomorrow, well away from here, KT suggested half-heartedly, glancing around, unsettling thoughts clawing at the back of his mind. Really? This place is, Are you scared? Curtis teased, nudging him playfully, but his bravado was punctuated by a perceptible shift in the atmosphere, a tension he couldn't explain. Destiny raised an eyebrow. Come on, KT. Let's just camp here tonight. For the stories. Reluctantly, KT set up his tent, the dull thud of peg meeting earth echoing louder than normal in the oppressive quiet. With the tent pitched, they gathered around a small campfire. Sharing ghost stories that instilled fear, laughter, and a false sense of invincibility among friends. But with each crackle of drifting embers, KT felt the weight of the surrounding darkness press against his skin. And then, the whispers began. At first they were just shadows of sound, too quiet to be defined, as if the darkness was exchanging secrets right outside their camp. Curtis and Destiny fell silent mid-story, faces pale, glancing toward the edge of the clearing. What was that? Destiny breathed. I didn't hear anything. Curtis answered, but his fidgeting hands told another story. It was KT who finally spoke. What if it's true? As if conjured by their fear, shadows detached themselves from the trees. Figures that moved fluidly, shifting like dense fog. Panic rose in their throats. The trio huddled closer together. Curtis decided then that it was time to leave, but as they scrambled to pack their bags, the ground beneath them vibrated. As if the very earth shuddered in response to their retreat. Tighter! Light! Come on! Curtis shouted, his scattered items forgotten as he grabbed KT's hand. Come here, buddy. his eyes stricken. But when they turned to each other, they were suddenly alone. The air felt more heavier, each breath a labor. Destiny? KT called, voice trembling. There was absolutely no response, only the persistent whispers now rising into a discordance of desolation and despair. Curtis stumbled back into the clearing, his mind racing. "We need to go! Now!" he yelled, but as he turned, the circle loomed before him, a dark omen brimming with tension. Just then, KT caught a glance of something moving in the shadows. Destiny was within the circle, motionless. Beside her, an almost exquisite figure was emerging from the darkness like a bad dream. It locked eyes with KT, an abyss of nothingness swirling within, and for a moment she felt drawn, willing to step forward as if the figure was calling her home. "Destiny!" KT screamed, breaking the grip of the shadows. She lunged toward her friend, but felt an unseen force pushing her back as though the ground beneath was actively trying to separate them. Curtis reached out to KT, the desperation intertwining imperceivable fear, but it was too late. Destiny was swallowed into the circle. Her terrified scream abruptly punctuated by an eerie silence. Curtis and KT stood frozen, staring at the dark circle, the whispers now rising into a keening wail, urging them to succumb to despair. "We have to leave! Right now!" KT shouted, shattering the paralysis gripping them. With hoarded resolve, they bolted from the clearing, running blindly through the trees, breathless, hearts pounding in their chests. But the fractured laughter of the woods pursued them, merciless. The dark air filled with the scent of burnt leaves, memories of tales echoing among the gnarled trees, the darkness whispering secrets they could never comprehend. And behind them, the devil's tramping ground pulsed in the shadows, waiting and waiting for the next curious souls to step into its infinite darkness, where absolutely nothing and absolutely no mortal or immortal would ever be found again.